Hello you wonderful people out there. Just taking a break with a single video from the usual stories to try something a little different. A personal top 10 list. As you might have guessed from the video's title. Mind you, these are ones that I've actually played and like. Without more rambling, here they are. Mind you, some of these games are a bit over a decade old, so some spoilage may occur. Cave Story was a freeware platformer video game released in 2004 for the PC. It was developed over 5 years by Daisuke Pixel Amiyama in its free time. Cave Story features 2D platforming mechanics and is reminiscent of classic games the developer played in his youth, such as Metroid. My own personal feelings is it's a highly addictive game that drew me in quite easily, especially the odd story, even if the main character suffers from silent protagonist syndrome. One thing I'll personally say is, fuck ever doing the hell run again. I beat it once and never ever again. Skyrim's main story revolves around the player character and their efforts to defeat Alwyn, the World Eater, a dragon who is prophesied to destroy the world. The game is set approximately 200 years after the events of Oblivion and takes place in the fictional province of Skyrim. Over the course of the game, the player completes quests and develops the character by improving their skills. Skyrim continues the open world tradition of its predecessors by allowing the player to travel anywhere in the game at any time and ignore or postpone the main storyline indefinitely. Honestly, with the near amount of replayability with the amount of mods out there on the PC port, even its, I'd say, magically short main storyline, you could just focus on hours to even upon days of side quests and side missions. Honestly, by picking a high elf, you could say there's so much pathos with having a high elf as Jarl of Skyrim. Final Fantasy IX's plot centers around a war between nations. The players follow a young thief named Zidane Tribal, who is joined by others to defeat the Queen Braun of Alexandria, who is responsible for starting the war. The plot shifts, however, when the players realize that Braun is working for a more threatening figure named Kuja. Final Fantasy IX was kind of the last in the series that I actually liked. I don't know if that extends for others, but barring the Tactics series, which is a story for another time, especially Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. Fuck you, brother. I don't care if you're crippled, you're coming back to the real world. Ezer Dreams is set in the desert town of Monsaboya. The town prospers because of the monster tower that's located over it. A sealed monster tamer named Guy disappeared in the tower and is never seen again. Ever since he disappeared, his son had planned to enter the tower when he turned 15. When he does, he meets a familiar named Queen, a monster that can speak to humans. Queen and Co. embark on a quest to reach the top of the monster tower and find the truth about Guy's fate. Played it and beat it. It's kind of a weird mix of genres, oddly. You got the monster breeding, RPG, and actually part dating sim. Some of the content was actually removed in processing. But sequels kind of just got continually worse and worse. But in the end, it won't be forgotten, at least by me. The Object of Baroque is to guide a nameless, mute, amnesiac player character through the Neuro Tower, all the way to the bottom floor. All randomly generated, the majority of the layouts of the Neuro Towers change from time to time that the player ventures inside. Portals found inside will guide each player to teleport them to the next floor. Death does not result in a game over screen, but advances the plot, unlocking new cutscenes, new areas, and new comments by non-player characters. The Neuro Tower expands after certain conditions are met. Oh, I love this wonderfully strange game, along with its odd, thick, roguelike mystery of questions that are never quite answered. It was a shame the visual novel that was a prequel to this never got translated, but on the upside, the manga did fill in some plot holes. Shame it received so much hate. Rhapsody, a musical adventure, was released in Japan as Puppet Princess of Marl Kingdom. It's a technical role-playing game for the PlayStation from Atlas USA and Nippon Ichi Software, which was later known as creators of Dasaiga, which is part of the Marvel Kingdom series. One of my guilty pleasures is so sweet that you could lapse in a suit to a sugar-induced coma, but still, it still has enthralling gameplay for me. Oddly, shame the 3D port lacks the English vocals, probably due to copyright reasons or legal, which I believe they finally said it was due to some game freezing or something buggy encoding. Though I wonder how many people got a smirk when they saw the Rosen Queen shop in further Dasaiga series, along with Module. Clock Tower, later renamed as Clock Tower First Fear, was originally released in 1995 to the Super Nintendo, then to the PC, and finally to the PlayStation, which had interesting features such as 8 different endings and randomized room layouts every single time you played. Well, I could go on and on about this game. It just had so much replayability. Still, less said about the continuing ones onto the PlayStation, the better. Secret of Mana was originally released in Japan as Second Densetsu 2. Literally, Legend of the Sacred Sword 2 is a 1993 role-playing game developed and published by Square, now Square Enix, from the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. It's a sequel to the 1991 Second Densetsu, which was released in North America as Final Fantasy Adventure and in Europe as Mythic Quest. It was the first Second Densetsu title to be published as part of the Mana series rather than the Final Fantasy series. Set in the high fantasy universe, the game follows 3 heroes as they attempt to prevent an empire from conquering the world with the power of an ancient flying warship. So good, they won't let it die, even now as ports in the iOS and Android. The only thing I really wonder today is how different it would be with a second person to play this to completion with its multiplayer function. While set in the eponymous fictional American town, Silent Hill is not a direct sequel to the first Silent Hill game. Instead, it centers around James Sutherland, who enters the town after receiving a letter from his deceased wife saying she's waiting for him in his special place in Silent Hill. Joined by Maria, who strongly resembles her, he searches for her and discovers the truth about her death. Additional material and re-release ports, including Born from Wish, a substance area that focuses around Maria before she met James. All with others would agree that Silent Hill 2 was their favorite. Still, oh boy, what a mess of storyline it is now. There are so many other people who could deal with this issue more than me. Though, in the end, all I can really say, there was a gaming series here, but now it's gone. There are other games I could put on this list, but it's kind of hard to put exactly a right place or where to shove this in, because I'd mostly have to talk about the series around them. Those being the Metal Gear series, System Shock, and the Shin Megami Tensei series, which I'll save for another time. Jake-kun, the Story of Tamamayo, is a video game for the PlayStation released by Crave. The game combines role-playing elements, virtual pet management. It was developed by Genki in collaboration with Ketsuya Kendo, character designer for Studio Ghibli, for movies such as Kiki's Delivery Service and I Can Hear the Sea. Jake-kun is set in the world where most land is covered in a dense forest, populated by weird, bug-like monsters called minions. The only safe havens are small villages, one of which is the home of the protagonist, Levant. Levant is a young cocoon master whose job is to capture and purify minions. Minions can be used to fight and defend Levant, or spun as silk for money, or fused with other minions to make more powerful combinations. As Levant captures more minions, his capture level increases, allowing him to capture more monsters easily. Fused minions take on the physical characteristics of both its parents' creatures, allowing players to more customize the appearance of each one, and its abilities. Each minion is a collection of elemental attacks which is passed on by generation to generation. Though the strategy as a general follows a rock paper scissors type formation. Wind beats earth, water beats fire, and fire beats wind in turn, as each wild minion has an element. Honestly, I love this game. I mean, it's probably through rose-tinted glasses at this point. Even if you have some spare time, give the OST a chance to listen to. I even managed to get my own grubby hands on the art book for the game, even if it did have some content that was for the second game, which I kind of despise, which for mostly retconning the first part of the game. I do recommend the game for anybody who's interested in it, though I'm not sure how many people have beat the Eternal Corridor. Now, it was a pain to beat, and I'm one of the few who actually did it. And here we have an unneeded video for an unwanted opinion. But those were my top 10 games off the top of my head. So, if you have anything you disagree with or agree with, or just feel like spreading your opinion, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for your time.